Hay trabajos considerados normales para los que estudiamos y nos preparamos durante un largo tiempo, pero hay otros que requieren mucha más determinación y disciplina. Y ya no hablamos de solo determinación mental, también física, preparación de años y esfuerzos increíbles para llegar a interpretar aquellas escenas que algunos no quieren hacer. Es por eso que hoy hablaremos con un doble de riesgo de Hollywood.
My name is Bobby Holland Hansen, and I'm a professional stunt performer.
Okay, so there can be some people that has no idea what a stunt is. Can you define it?
Stunts, we basically, we're the stupid ones, really. We're the ones that we sign up and we're the ones that get thrown around, we get set on fire, we jump through buildings, we jump off of buildings, we jump through glass, we do a lot of fight stuff. So we do all the stuff that the actors with the dialogue don't want to do. Although there's many actors that I work with, I'm very fortunate. I work with Chris Hemsworth, and I've been his stunt double for the past 10 years. We've done 13 films together. And he's very athletic and he fights really well. So luckily for me, he makes my job easier because he can do everything he needs to do anyway.
Okay, perfect. I think you do the best part though. I prefer doing that. So
The most fun.
It all started.
Where did it all start?
For you, yeah.
For me, I started gymnastics when I was 4 years old, men's artistic, the full six pieces, full six apparatus. So I started my physical journey from a very young age, all the way up until I was 17, when I stopped competing for Great Britain and got into soccer. You guys call it soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. So I was very passionate about that from a very young age, and I basically played semi-professional for 2 years in my hometown in Portsmouth on the south coast. And then there was live acrobatic stunt shows that they were auditioning for. High diving, stunts, acrobatics, and a lot of acting, kind of slapstick stuff, if you like. So for me, it was a decision I made because I felt I'd spent my whole childhood and all that time almost doing like a physical degree is how I describe it. And I didn't want to waste that because my gymnastics career was over. So I basically used those skills and put them into another side of performing, which you can be a lot more elaborate and a lot more overzealous with things, which made it a lot more fun. So I used that part of my childhood that I worked so hard and worked so vigorously on my, the physical side of things. I took that into performing now, and I got into TV shows and acrobatic shows, and then I did a lot of commercials and free running parkour commercials, and then I got into film, which my first film was stunt doubling for James Bond on Quantum of Solace, my first film at 23.
Oh, nice. How old are you now?
I am 37, but my body feels like it's 57.
No, you don't. Okay, so when you started with working with Chris and how it all started, you remember your first time working with him?
Yeah, so that was 11 years ago. I actually met him. I had just finished stunt doubling for Batman, Christian Bale in The Dark Knight Rises. I'd finished that in LA. I came back to the UK in the November of 2011, I believe. And a friend of mine was stunt coordinating Snow White and the Huntsman, which Chris was doing. So I just came on for the last 3-4 weeks just to help out the stunt team, and met Chris on that show, and we got on really well. And then the following year was the first time that I actually stunt doubled for him in Thor: The Dark World, the second Thor movie. And from then he's taken me everywhere in his contract as his stunt double, and we've traveled the world and done 13 films together. So we've become very close. He's one of my best and closest friends, and we've developed so many amazing things over the years. And you know, something to be very proud of, because it's very hard to come by and meet people like that and actually have not just a working, but also a friendship that we have. So he's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. And what is the hardest part of being a stunt?
The hardest part, do you know what I think for me? And I mean, there's so many difficult parts of what we do, and that's why it's at the risk and the highest level that it's at. But I think for me, the most difficult thing is when we do a stunt that kind of, you might get a knock or a hit or something, and you then the next day after shooting have to go back and they want to shoot on a different angle of the same stunt. You're having to do that same stunt exactly the same way that you did it the day before, but you're landing on those parts that you've hurt. And that's tough because, as I'm sure you understand, anything you do once and hurt yourself, there's a recovery period. And sometimes, if it's not life-threatening, then our recovery period has to be very quick so we can continue to do what we need to do. So, those days are tough, but it's also a mental battle, and it's something that, you end up, it's going to be okay. You just have to get through that period. But I think you go into a zone in your head to go, right, I need to get this done. This is my job. And then, you just try and take care of yourself as much as you possibly can afterwards.
Now that you talk about the risk, have you ever been on risk of dying or something close to that?
Luckily, no. There's been a few close shaves, like close to the mark, and again, that's part and parcel of what we do, and we know what we sign up for, but and everyone tries to keep it as safe as we possibly can, but there is always that element of danger, and that's I guess that's what gives us the rush that we get from the job that we do. But I've had a couple of close shaves, but I'm okay. Touch wood. I've had a major back surgery, and that was due to more not just one event. It was more an event that then keep doing what I do and including my gymnastic career, and that, that constant pounding and pressure on my lower back. My discs basically, they gave up. They were completely compressed. They were almost non-existent. And I had a major back surgery. I have 2 titanium discs now in my lower back. But on the other side of that, my back's the best it's ever been. So, I've had a few injuries. I've picked up a few injuries, but, it's part and parcel.
You're closer to become a robot, so that's good, I guess.
Yeah, maybe.
I asked my fans to ask you some questions, and there was one that everyone asked, and you get well paid for this?
Well paid?
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, I've been doing this now for 14 years. And I've been doing, very luckily enough, I've been doing it at the highest level. I've worked on the biggest movies, in history, and I've worked with some of the most amazing people, and I get to travel the world. And yes, I feel that, I do okay now. I get paid a good wage, but it's taken me a long time to get to where I am now. And that's just, that's the same for anyone in any industry. You start somewhere and you just keep trying to build on top of that. So yeah, in short, yeah, the money's good, but also what we have to take into consideration is sometimes, is the money good enough if something goes very badly wrong and you don't actually go home to your wife or your children that night because you've had a really bad injury. Unfortunately, I've got some very close friends of mine that have been injured very, very badly, and they will never work again. And then that's when you say to yourself, actually, is the money even worth it, or is it enough to do what we do? And I guess it's also trying to look at the other side of things of those people that have got injured, to make sure that they get taken care of for the rest of their lives, because they can't do what they used to do and what they love, and their life is kind of, that side of things gets taken away. It's tough. I mean, it is tough. And
now that you talk about that, you still want to do this the rest of your life, or you want to do more?
No, I think, when I started in this industry, my goal and my aim was to be the best stunt performer I could be, and be the best person I could be, the best stunt performer, and do the best things. And that was always my goal and my drive to, and you know what, 14 years on, I look back and I'm very, very proud of what I've done and what I've achieved. There's still things I want to continue to achieve, but I am starting to look at different avenues as well. You know, I've just acted in my first, my acting debut in an action comedy that will come out later this year called School Fight, which we did with a group of friends of mine. It's the first time I'd ever attempted any acting with dialogue, and we were with my best friends. You know, Damien Walters, one of my closest friends, he wrote it and directed the movie, and it was the most fun ever. You know, you're still in that element of in the performing side of things, but it was a new way to express performing, and I absolutely loved it. And Matthew Vaughn, you know, a very famous filmmaker, producer, is producing the film. He saw what we did and he took that, and he's now producing it. Which, you know, it couldn't have fallen into anyone, you know, any better hands. He's one of the best at what he does, and you know, I'm a massive fan of his work. So I've now seen the finished cut and the finished edit, and I'm very pleased. It's very funny. It's, you know, it's very fun. It's almost like, I'm not sure if you guys have it in Colombia, but there's a comedy in the UK called The In-Betweeners, and it's that kind of sense of humor. It's like, you know, it's very silly but fun at the same time, with some amazing stunts. So that will be out later this year. And when I was in hospital with my back, I went home and I couldn't perform, and I was like, what do I do? So I actually wrote a children's book that comes out at the end of this year.
Nice. You do everything.
Yeah, so I wrote a children's book that gets published, and it will be out on the 21st of December this year. And it's the premise behind the story is to try and encourage young children to be more active, you know, eat better, you know, live better, and just have fun. This book's about having fun, and about a little boy called Eddie that wants to be a superhero, and it develops from there. So, you know, it's you know, I'm trying different things, and you know, we have I'm sure you know, we have our fitness app center that I'm involved with Chris, and we're always, you know, evolving that and doing new things. I've just had a new workout come out on the app called Body Power, and yeah, I'm just trying to see what I can do. I can't keep smashing my body like I. But you know, I want to keep doing it. I want to stay as fit and healthy as I possibly can. But I like to try other things, and we'll see what happens.
And now that you're talking about the kids, there's so many people that maybe want to be a stunt. What advice would you give to them?
My advice to anyone that wants to be a stunt, you know, a stunt girl or a stunt guy, would be go down to a local, if it's a high diving club or a gymnastics club, martial arts, maybe it's motocross, maybe you drive go-karts or whatever. Those are very key in what we do as stunt performers. So for me as a gymnast, I already had a background, obviously, with gymnastics, trampolining and high diving. So it helps so much with what we do about having spatial awareness, knowing how to fall, knowing how to land. So my advice would be, even from a very young age, go and, you know, explore those disciplines, see which ones that you love. You know, there's horse riding as well, rock climbing, whatever it may be, and get some kind of level of skill in one, two, maybe even three of those. Because when it comes to, you know, say being old enough to be a stunt performer, to have those skills and those skill sets to draw on they're priceless. You know, I draw on those skills on a daily basis of what I learned when I was a kid. But my other part of advice with that, you know, to that as well would be, if you do decide you want to be a stunt performer, then make sure you know 100% that's what you want to do, because it's tough. There's some hard hits, and you know, sometimes people have, you know, if you get a big hit, you get back up to the floor and they want you to do it again. You got to know mentally and be mentally tough and strong to go, okay, I'm good, let's go again. But also not be silly and say, yeah, I'm good to go again, if you're actually not and you're actually injured. It's not just about what your skill set is. It's also about your mentality and your mindset of how you approach things. It's very important as well, because it needs to stay as safe as it possibly can.
Now, you remember your favorite stunt moment, maybe?
One, my memory is awful because I've been falling on my head for 14 years. So, but there's also so many And I feel very lucky and very blessed and very privileged to have very amazing memories of some big stunts that I've done. I mean, right at the, very just recently on the first Extraction that we shot, there's a fight scene that we do, me, Chris, and the other doubles. And I go off a balcony, onto an awning, onto a truck, onto the road. We stand up, we have a fight, and then I get hit by a car. And that stunt has just been nominated for the Tourist World Stunt Awards, which are later this year. I'm very proud of that, and that's a very recent one. But then I can go right back to the beginning of my career when I did James Bond Quantum of Solace, and I did a balcony jump with no safety wires, no cables, nothing. At 2 o'clock in the morning, it was my first ever stunt at 23, doubling James Bond, had to jump from one balcony to another, 3 stories up. And that was my first stunt I ever done. So there's lots of different stunts. I mean, when I stunt double for Batman on The Dark Knight Rises, not physically demanding, but we had to climb up the Manhattan Bridge, and I stood on top of the bridge, and I was 250 feet in the air, overlooking the whole of New York, while a helicopter was going past around me 360, and I was just standing there in the batsuit. So that's a memorable thing for me, even though it wasn't overly physical. So there's been lots of amazing standout things for me in my career to date. And I want to experience more of those if I can, if I'm lucky enough to experience more of those. But I think there's been so many different things. I've been very lucky to be able to do some of the biggest stunts, that I could, my wildest dreams to even be able to do.
And what is the biggest lesson you've learned from this job?
Oh, from my job, biggest lesson I think I've learned is discipline, focus, determination, and mindset are so important for me in everyday life, but also myself in my job, because you always have to be focused and on your toes, because it is dangerous. And just one moment of being complacent and losing yourself for a second can be so dangerous. So I've learned in my job that you have to be on top of your game all the time and be very focused and ready to go and be on your toes at any moment. Things change a lot in the film industry. Stunts change all the time. So you may have rehearsed something for months and months and months, and on the day it changes, and you have to be ready to adapt to that change. So, I class the whole stunt industry, we're athletes, the skill set has developed and moves on so rapidly over the years, and it literally by month, the standards are going up and up and up, which is only a great thing. But that also means that we have to train on a regular basis. We have to eat well. For example, when I stunt double for Chris in Thor and Avengers, we have to train like bodybuilders. I train twice a day, eat 10 meals a day. We have to train to get into Thor shape. So that's a job in itself. But then we still have to, part of your day, stunt rehearse, fight rehearse, do all of different things, like teach the actors what they need to do. It's tough. And I think to give yourself every chance possible to do the best job you can possibly do, you need to be in the best physical and mental shape possible. So I think for me, what I've learned the most is that, not to take this industry lightheartedly, or certainly not to take stunts lightheartedly. And I think, mentally and physically, I'm probably in the best shape I've ever been. And that's good, because, I'm 37, I'm not getting any younger, but I think a lot of it is to do with your mind and taking care of yourself.
Bobby, thank you so much. It's so interesting. I love your job. I will never do it, but I really love it.
Oh, so. Come on. If we ever get to meet you one day, if I get to come to Colombia, we'll do a crash course stunts, and you'll be the next big star.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, hopefully. But can you give us your social media? Anything you want to say, you can say it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thanks for having me. If anyone wants to check out some of the things that I've done over the years and stunts and some cool videos and a lot of fun with the whole team, with Chris, and we try and have as much fun as possible. So my Instagram is BobbyDazzler84. So please go and check it out. And it was absolutely amazing to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Solo al escuchar esta historia podemos ver el verdadero esfuerzo de una disciplina. no solo física sino también mental. Todo aquello que requiere interpretar los papeles que no quieren interpretar los actores de Hollywood o que simplemente por miedo y riesgo no se pueden realizar. Hay personas dispuestas a esto a diario que arriesgan su vida por las escenas más emocionantes de nuestras películas favoritas.